So for this show, we're gonna cover a fisherman attacked and saved by his vision. Then we're gonna go to a sand diver attacked by the locals called the Giant of Japoma. And we're gonna finish a fatal one in Malawi, also a fisherman that was fishing in a swamp. Stick around. Welcome back to Teeth and Water. We go to our first attack. Matopos National Park, that's the city of Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, Africa of course. The date of this attack is 1st or 2nd Sunday in February 2015. Emmanuel Mhaka is a fisherman, 32-year-old. He's fishing with his friend Amos in that one of the dams in Matopos National Park. So that dam was considered safe. Other people is also using this dam to fish. On this day at 2 p.m. it started raining, and Mhaka and Amos, as I say, were fishing in a waist deep water. That waters are murky. You can't see much there, but they were fishing with the nets, and they start raining. They wanted to wrap it up, gather the catch. So they were chatting, they were relaxed. Amos and Mhaka were talking to each other. Then Mhaka turned sideways and the crocodile struck. He bit him on ankle, then repurchased the bite and grabbed him by the thigh. Now he's dragging him further into the deeper water. Mhaka is now chest or neck deep water, it is said. Amos, meanwhile, went to the bank and fetched a stick. Mhaka is still kind of desperate, hopeless. That crocodile still dragging him further. But then he had a vision. It said in the report he saw his 3-year-old son in the water with him, and that gave him strength and starting to really fight this crocodile now. He pushed his hands down his throat, causing flooding, and that crocodile gagged and released Mhaka. Amos helped him with the stick. Mhaka grabbed it. They pull him out of the water. He sustained some injuries, but they don't say the magnitude of the injuries. They don't say what kind of crocodile or how big it was. So probably, mid-adult, maybe juvenile, Nile crocodile, my best guess. Non-fatal, he survived, and it was a predatory nature because that dam was considered safe. No crocodile claimed that spot area, so it was not territorial. And probably if Amos and that vision that really gave him the boost to fight that crocodile wouldn't help, would probably be, a wrap for Mhaka. So we move on to another Emmanuel, an even crazier story, also in Africa. Stick around. So for the second attack, we go to Japoma. That's the district of Douala and the Bamba River tributary, Cameroon, Africa. It's peak humid and dry season. The date is 7th of February, Friday, 2025, so not long ago. Zemmanou Emmanuel, he's 45 years old, and he's a small-scale fisherman and also a sand diver. Now, that sand diving is a common occupation there. They are gathering this sand on the bottom of these rivers. It's really valuable. They use it for the construction. It's said that it's 25 to 30 billion dollar globally business with this sand. It's perfect for the construction. Watch the bunch of videos. That's hard work. What they are doing. So scoping, imagine scoping heavy sand under the water, throwing it onto the wooden canoes and then transporting it to the bank and so on and so on. So that are like athletes that are doing that, but they are, poor. So he was doing that work with a bunch of friends, of course. That's a wooden canoe, but they are basically heavier and really longer canoes that can really load this sand on them. They had a motor also, so it's kind of a special canoe. and they're like a chest deep water doing that, scoping and putting on on the canoes. um, Also, to back it up a little bit, weeks before, the locals said that they saw this crocodile, huge crocodile, they say Ngando, which means the giant, that was lurking around there, kind of warning them, don't work until we get rid of this crocodile, because it was apparently huge. They say, enormous. So they did not listen. That even the village chief filed a complaint to wildlife authorities, saying they saw this crocodile and it was bigger than a canoe. So, not the basic one, smaller, but the huge one. So it was kind of a serious, stuff, but they couldn't resist because it was their livelihood and their income. So they were doing that in 7th of February. A bunch of workers, and Emmanuel Zemmanou was again down the river scooping this sand, when huge shadow passes the surface, and before anyone could react, Zemmanou Emmanuel was attacked and grabbed by this huge crocodile, grabbing by the torso, and he had a bucket in his hand, and the crocodile hit him so hard the bucket was knocked from his hands. So that kind of force, and he just dragged him under, leaving just a swirl of red water, they say in the report. Nothing they found, nothing more they could do. They just saw this humongous crocodile, grab him by the torso, dragging him under, no ripples, no more anything. They threw the buckets at the water, they shouted to scare it off. They even poured the fuel into the water. The crocodile was already gone, and water was still. So that day also, they did not find anything on Emmanuel. So about 2 days later, 500 meters down this stretch of the river, they found his remains stuck in the reeds. And then wildlife officers came and do the research and everything, confirmed that it was Zemmanou Emmanuel's remains. So it was a fatal one. Also, the wildlife officers measured the slides, wideness of the slides of this crocodile. It said that it was more than a meter. So you can imagine what a meter is said, kind of a huge slide. They estimated the crocodile was 5.5 meters or 16 to 18 feet long. Enormous, as they say. They say the Giant of Japoma, they call it. And even till this day, the villagers and the locals avoid that part of the river. They say Ngando may have had brothers. So you can imagine how that shook them. So yeah, predatory nature, fatal one, and we go to the last attack. And for the third and final attack, we go to Shire River, Balaka district, that's the country of Malawi, Africa. The date is 8th of October 2024. James Daveson is 42-year-old. He went fishing with his two buddies. He was attacked by a crocodile there. Not much detail. Police spokesperson Gladson Pumba said that he was at the scene with two friends. They could not help. A bunch of people came. They couldn't do much. They transported him to Phoebe Health Center when he was pronounced dead at arrival. So a fatal one, probably likely Nile crocodile. We don't know what size, but predatory nature attack. So that's the end of our show. I hope you enjoyed these kind of videos, and please like and subscribe, and we catch you on the next one.